Well, just like that, the season is over, but we're here with one last post-game podcast for MLive's Dungeon of Doom. I am Ben Raven. He is Kory Woods.
Yo, what's going on? What up, Ben?
Man, just sitting here in a suite at Soldier Field after the Lions end the season. 19-16 walk-off win thanks to Jake Bates, and just a strange game. I mean, everything about this game felt weird because we know what we already know. The Lions were eliminated from the playoffs. They were already clinched for last place in the division, and why that could be a good thing later before kickoff even started here in Chicago. But, you know, they come out, they shut the Bears out for 3 quarters. They slip and fall on a banana peel in the 4th quarter and still wind out winners.
You know, I said it all week when we were talking about this. I said, I think if it was any other team, these guys probably would have rested. But, hey, you know what? Let's try to close it out on a winning record, 4th straight season winning record, and we do not want to lose to Ben Johnson. And, you know, they played like it on both sides of the ball. You know, there were a couple of times we're probably going to get into it that this really could have gotten even more out of hand because there were so many missed chances for the Lions to put this thing away real early. But, you know, to their credit, they strapped up when it mattered most. Defense played solid for most of the game, and they got out with a win. Just seeing a lot, you know, I'm covering the game remote, so this is why I'm about to give you kind of some context what I'm about to say. Just judging from what you guys had on our say coming out of the locker rooms, it looked like it was a really emotional scene in there for several players for reasons we're probably going to get into. And I think that was also another reason why guys were just adamant about playing this game because, you know, this team is outside of the cornerstones. This team is going to look pretty different next season.
Yes, it is. And we'll get into that. And we're going to have a whole section on Taylor Decker and that talk. And I'll even have a clip for you guys to listen to from Decker. Emotional scene. Like I said, I'll get into that more. But yeah, it's a 4th straight winning season. That's the first time in more than 50 years that's happened for this franchise.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It was like Rich Silva and I were looking that up before the game, and it was like, holy crap, it's like 1969 to 72 or something like that was like the last time they had 4 winning seasons in a row. And I know we already did it, you know, as Taylor Decker said, quote unquote, it's a consolation prize, but the defense went out there and played their heads off. The offense, as you said, left a lot of opportunities on the board. And I was kind of joking, like I can hear all the dads yelling from home. The Lions kicked 3 field goals from inside the 15 or 16-yard line. This is when you take the points.
I'm leaving that one alone, but that's great.
I was kind of on one today just because I was like, oh, look at David Montgomery involved heavily in the offense. Oh,
I will say this. It's like, okay, you know, if you guys played like this, maybe I might have been in Chicago. maybe you guys might be playing next week.
Yeah. You and Jacob would have been with me right now if this would have been for something. But life came at us fast in the NFL. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about the game because I don't think people listening to this really give a crap about it. But there was just some interesting things. I mean, I thought maybe it would be a chance for Miles Frazier to start at right tackle just because they said he's been practicing there while we're repping at guard. But instead, they went with 34-year-old Chris Hubbard off the practice squad, who actually didn't do bad. And then one of the 2 younger guys, I guess, Malcolm Rodriguez, he's at the end of his rookie contract, but he started at linebacker. We saw Mekhi Wingo for the 2nd time this season. Both of his games this year came against the Bears. But other than that, it was kind of business as usual. And I was – the offense was like really good at times, but then just really weird at times. You know, it was a very passing-heavy game for most of the day for the Lions, but yet they still controlled the time of possession, like from start to finish. I mean, the first half was absolutely dominating. I mean, they should have been up even more than they were. I thought Goff was pretty crisp today. He faced a lot of interior pressure for the 2nd week in a row. Off-script throws, on the move a little because, I mean, hey, if this is the last time we saw Graham Glasgow, it was a rough day for him. He looked like he was taking 10 seconds to get up every time he hit the field. But, hey, they ran for more than 100 yards. They had gone 3 straight without doing that. Just just weird. Like the wildcat pass from Montgomery to Goff with like
I did not.
like they were setting that up throughout the game. They ran it 3 or 4 times, and then Goff's the only receiver running a route, and I'm like, oh my god,
Because we're talking about the 3rd and 1, right?
yeah,
I just didn't. I'm like, you have David Montgomery. Just even if you don't pick it up, if you just run him straight up the middle, nobody's going to complain.
yeah,
Nobody.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was just getting. That was the type of, and it's kind of ironic it came in this game. That was the type of getting cute when
yeah,
you didn't need to that we sometimes saw from Ben Johnson at times.
yeah, yeah, for sure. The standouts from this game: Goff throws for 331 with a touchdown, 1 interception late in the game. St. Brown made a late bid to make a second-team All-Pro with 11 catches for 139 yards. Jamo had a great first half. Had one ugly drop, but 6 for 74. They both finished above 1,000 yards for the second straight season. That's not nothing. And Hutchinson got to 14 and a half sacks on the year, which is no small feat. So those are your takeaways. Like I said, one of the bright spots from this season was the emergence of Jack Campbell, another 10 tackle game. And nobody, I feel like he's taking this missed playoff season harder than anybody. And you're really watching him not just become a great, probably all pro football player this year, but a true leader. And with Alex Anzalone needing a new contract next year to come back here, that's what you want, because that's a massive void in the locker room. And it really just seems Jack is ready to take all of that on more than he already has. And I've been really impressed with him. We obviously named him the media good guy of the year earlier this week, and it's earned because he's got a little Taylor Decker in him. He's honest, he's straightforward, he always answers questions, he always takes the time, and he does it thoughtfully and with respect. And shout out to him. And after this, we'll get into the Decker talk and just the huge offseason ahead.
I mean, piggybacking off of you with Jack Campbell, he just really came along as somebody, as a communicator, as a player each season. You just saw his swagger on and off the field just really pick up, and he's not. And again, it's a reason why at the beginning of the season that Dan Campbell said that this is his offense. They really do believe that Jack can be that guy,
Yeah.
and I think this is now about to be the official changing of the guard. So it's curious to see who they bring in, who they call up, from second string or whatnot, to kind of fill that void as the third guy. And one guy that really I know, like you said about St. Brown, he just he didn't get a touchdown today, obviously, but he is just, I think that even with we know his stats, I
Yeah.
just still think he might be the most underrated, underappreciated receiver in the NFL, hands down, because
Yeah.
he just gets the darn job done when you need it the most. That pass when Goff had that time, and he just threw that dot right to St. Brown in the
Yep.
middle. It was just like a thing of beauty. Like, I mean, right, looking at it right now, 11 of his 15 targets for 139 yards. It's just that he's getting the ball. They're going to look for him, and it doesn't matter. He just finds a knack to get open, and I think he just joined Tyreek Hill and Wes Welker, and there's another name I'm missing, as one of the only guys that have 3 straight seasons with 100 plus yards and north of 1,100 receiving yards.
Yeah, it's fourth straight with 100 catches, fourth straight with more than 1,000 yards, third straight with double-digit touchdowns. He's already the first player in NFL history to have at least 90 catches in the first 5 seasons.
That's crazy.
I know he's had some drops this year, more than we're used to, but nobody gets open like he does.
No.
And he's not 100% right now. He's dealing with knee and ankle issues right now. He's out there playing, putting on a show, loving the game, celebrating every first down, mocking the Bears first down. It took me a minute to figure out what him and Jamo were doing every time they got a first down, and then I was like, oh, they're making fun of the Bears. Okay, classic St. Brown and Jamo. But yeah, and with a better offensive line, Goff has an even better year, and St. Brown has an even better year. But man, that's a true superstar player. Had the huge cuts in the first half that set up one of the field goals, I believe. Maybe it was even the Gibbs touchdown on the Texas route. But Gibbs, by the way, before we move on, 31 touchdowns through his first 3 seasons. I believe that ties Barry Sanders and Randy Moss for the most all time through a player's first 3 seasons. Just
Anytime you're in a conversation with Barry Sanders and Randy Moss, you're an elite company.
yeah, but we got to look ahead because we already knew center was a big need. It's hard to imagine Graham Glasgow being back. I think guard depth is a big need. I think they need competition for Christian Mahogany to get the most out of that room. And now with Decker heavily contemplating retirement, openly, honestly, thoughtfully, as he always does, you got to fill tackle. Like I, as much as I want to put center as the top need, and it probably is just based on how this line looked this year, you need a left tackle or you need a right tackle if you're going to move Panay to the left side. But I don't know what they're going to do. They need an offensive tackle. I'll just say this, I usually go to Dan and Jared's press conferences after games, and I was sitting there today and I was like, I need to be in that player locker room right now. It's the last time of the season. And I need to talk to Taylor Decker. And man, he held court like he always does for 12 minutes. He was laughing. He was emotional. And just the perfect, and I say perfect ironically, cherry to the top of his season. He dislocated his finger during this game and still finished it. He already entered with shoulder illness and rest designations. And him detailing what he went through this year just to be able to play, just to be available, the strain it put on his wife, the strain it put on him as being a not present father, and just the mental toll. I mean, he said multiple times, I'm not in a good mental space right now. I need to get away. I just need to get away. And he said he's going to take a couple months because he wants to make an informed decision. He doesn't have any other surgery scheduled right now, but he's got MRIs and needs some second opinions. But he's going to think long and hard about retirement and the possibility to lose Ragnow and Decker, the heartbeat of the offensive line. Obviously, Panay Sewell is the freak stud, future Hall of Famer, but what those guys meant to that line during the week of prep, off the field, on the field, how they were the voice of a locker room during the toughest and the best times for this franchise. It's a Taylor Decker, like Frank Ragnow, true captain. And if they lose him, which sounds like a very real possibility, this crucial offseason for Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell gets even trickier.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, you're probably going to be going into some of your top players and seeing if you can go ahead and try to restructure some deals to kind of, free up some money and make yourself a player in free agency. Because I mean, you got some draft picks, obviously, but you're gonna have to turn to free agency to fill some of these holes. So I don't want to speak for him, but hey, maybe you do go to Goff, maybe you do go to St. Brown, and just be like, hey, can we, move some of this money around to free some things up to be able to get some more talent in here and keep this window going? Because I mean, you're losing. You're in 2 seasons, you're losing what was one of this team's biggest strengths for the past couple of years, your O-line, and yeah, this is protecting Goff is, to me, you definitely need to go into the offseason thinking about the secondary, thinking about adding edge rusher depth. But to me, the number one priority is keeping Jared Goff upright. If Goff is not upright, this whole thing falls off a cliff quickly. So I'm just curious to see, we're going to speak with Brad, obviously, at some point this week. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be the number one question.
Oh, I mean, there's going to be 20 of 30 minutes
of the many.
Yeah, because I mean, the draft priorities went from, you probably need an offensive lineman to you need to take the best available offensive lineman, and then you might need to take the second best or the next available offensive lineman with your next pick because you need interior help, you need a long-term center, you need a starting tackle potentially, and like you alluded to, it's going to take some contract magic to make room for free agents. And I know everybody's thinking about the big cat from Iowa. Yeah, Baltimore, Tyler Lindbaum, and I am too. But that's going to take some maneuvering to make stuff like that possible. But I really do just want to focus on Taylor Decker because there's not, during my time, there hasn't been a player that puts as much care and thought and honesty into every answer he gives in the locker room after games, press conferences, on the side of the field after OTA practices. I respect the hell out of the way he handles himself. And what he did in the locker room today was not easy. I mean, he went from joking around about dislocating his finger, talking about the tough season, to like crying and fighting off tears when talking about what this year did to his wife, did to his kids, how it made him feel. And I do want to play a clip from Taylor Decker and let you guys hear from it.
I need to get away. I need to get away from football. I need to get my body feeling better. I need to make informed decisions. I need to get second opinions. There's a lot that I have to do because I want to make this decision moving forward informed, and I don't want to make it emotionally, because if I make it emotionally, I already know what the answer is going to be. But it's a massive decision, and it's not only about me. It's about my kids. I'll get emotional about that, but just to be able to show up and be the father that I want to be. It's not about, do I want to play football? So that's really important to me. Because I can make the selfish decision. I can keep playing until I can't walk anymore, or I can't throw the ball with my kids. But that's not what you do as a father and a husband. So that's going to weigh heavily into my decision. Is what is the future quality of life of mine going to look like, and how will that impact my kids?
Yeah, it's not just about him anymore. You know, he knows he can play. He knows he wants to play. Football's all he's known. It's what he's been doing for 24 years. But he knows it's not just about him. And the part that I wanted to highlight that you didn't just hear is him talking about a conversation he had with his wife recently. And he's like, you know, those old medieval shows where the warrior says he just wants to die on the battlefield? He's like, that's how I feel right now. But I can't do that to her, to my family, to my kids. He's going to talk with Dan. He's going to talk with Brad. He's going to think about it long and hard. But it's going to be a couple of months before he makes his decision. So there's no excuse to repeat what happened last year with Frank. I know Frank announced his retirement in June. It was already after the draft. You got a plan for life in free agency and in the draft, like Taylor Decker's not coming back, even if he does.
Yep, absolutely. And me and you have been in lockstep with that. You're not pushing Taylor Decker out the door if he's able to just take this time to get away, to heal, to get his mind right. Like you said, he was not in the best mental space. If he's able to get to that space and wants to come back, great. More power to him. And I think he would still be a great addition once he heals up. But at the same time, you can, like you said, you cannot find yourself in this position. That even if he does come back, I would still say that would be probably closer to the end of the road than, you know, having his best days ahead of him. And you need to go ahead and get his replacement even in those first two rounds, or if you want to go through the draft, I would say go ahead and draft his replacement. And that way, whether he comes back, maybe he can mentor him, or if he doesn't come back, you have this guy through training camp, OTAs, and and everything like that to be able to groom him to potentially play meaningful minutes.
Yeah, and if you're asking me for my personal opinion, I think this was the last game for Taylor Decker. I mean, I felt like that before today's game. And while he's going to take a couple of months to make an informed decision, I just can't sit here right now and tell you guys that I think he's coming back, because I don't. I really don't. I think that's someone who has given everything he had to give, helped this franchise reach to where it was, and end on 4 straight winning seasons. I know that's nothing in the real grand scheme of things, but that's a big loss on the field, in the locker room. And I just hope fans appreciate what he went through around the clock, at the facility, in between meetings and practices, at home after putting his kids to bed. I mean, it was like a crazy long list of red light therapy, hyperbolic chambers, acupuncture every week, injections, MRIs, all that stuff. It was just hearing him say it. That was like the longest section of the interview, was just unbelievable. And it's just wild to think where we were this time last year with the Lions going into the playoffs, 15 wins, back-to-back division titles, number 1 seed. And now we're sitting here, Ragnow's gone, and Decker might be next, just like that. It's that offensive line was already the greatest need with Taylor Decker at left tackle, and there's no in-house options. I mean, it sounds like Dan Skipper's contemplating the same stuff. Miles Frazier, do they view him as a guard? Do they view him as a tackle? We don't know. And Giovanni Manu, I mean, he's going into year 3, and he still feels like he's in the developmental project range and not the answer. Like, I don't care if it's left side, right side, just not the answer right now. And you can't say or talk yourself into thinking he's the answer. So yeah, there's going to be some tough decisions ahead and some big moves to make for Dan Campbell, Brett Holmes, and Hank Fraley's got to do his best to get this group back on track and develop some guys and develop whatever they bring in and work those guys into the mix. But yeah, man, it's the offensive line is everything here. It's the thing we've pointed to and beat over the head countless times is the reason why they are where they are right now. And it's going to be even harder to get back to reaching that standard that they set through those first 4 years with Dan Campbell and co.
And also, there's something that, I don't want to pivot too hard, but, you just mentioned the name Hank Fraley. This is a guy that was also up for offensive coordinator positions last year. Like, does he get an opportunity, elsewhere, and will he be back? So, I mean, I don't know. I think Hank Fraley is going to be back, but I mean, just you never know. I mean, this team had a pretty significant, coaching turnover last season. I'm curious to see if somebody, if a guy like Fraley, who is coveted around the league, will he be back to, guide this unit into the next chapter, or So that was just kind of thing that popped in my brain when you were talking about it.
No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. And I mean, it was his group that regressed this year. I mean, yeah, he didn't get the pieces that he needed, but he's going to be challenged too to develop new pieces, to find cohesion, to get Tate Rallage to the next level, to make Christian Mahogany look like an NFL starting level guard again, to find a center, to find Decker's replacement, to figure out what to do with Penei Sewell moving right to left, or keep him where he's excelled and been one of the game's, if not the game's best at that right side. So yeah, just some tough things. It's 9:30 here in Chicago, Sunday, January 4th. We'll talk with Dan Campbell back in Detroit, Allen Park tomorrow. We got locker room clean out day, which is always a wild scene. It was kind of like locker room clean out part 1 here tonight in Chicago. And I just kind of want to run through. We're going to finish. We're just going to go back and forth on the team's pending free agents and if they think they're going to be back or not, what we think about them. And I'm just going to run through the key names on that list. And that's where we'll kind of end this one. And we won't have a mailbag podcast this week because we're going to record whenever Brett Holmes speaks. And we'll just do it after that because I think everybody's been waiting for that Brett Holmes press conference since that loss on Christmas. Like, that feels like the only thing people have cared about or thought about since then. But starting with number 1, and I'll start with you, DJ Reader, Kory.
I think Reader's gone.
Yeah, he's kind of spoke like he knows what's coming too. Just a disappointing second half to the season for him in the defensive line. The second one is Alex Anzalone. I think the defense is worse without Anzalone here, and I know he wants to retire here. I just think how things went down in training camp and what he is going to cost and what he has earned to end his season might put him out of this team's price range.
I'm there. I think he's gone, but I'm like in that 60-40 that he's gone. Like I think he's played himself out the door, but just I think the window is still cracked. Like with Reader, I think it's shut. I don't think Reader's coming back, but I think with Anzalone, he's gone, but the window is still cracked.
And at least with Reader, they drafted his replacement with Tyleik Williams, who got a start today, who is an absolute bulldog in the middle of the line, knocked down another pass today. He's just got such a one-arm, strong-arm move to just plant and stay where he's at. Huge. Anzalone, if he leaves, that's a huge loss, especially paired with guys like Decker, as you're talking about quintessential veteran leaders who have relationships with everyone. I mean, Anzalone and JMO are tight. You see those guys talking at their lockers all the time. Like, those are true captains. The next one, Amik Robertson.
I think he's played himself out of Detroit for the worst, unless he comes back on the hometown discount.
Yeah, he had a tough year this year. They ask a lot of him, slot man or slot outside slot, sometimes both in the same game a lot. Ask a lot of him. They love him. He's a great fit in that locker room, but he's at a point of his career where if he can get paid, he should go do it. I think if, like you said, a hometown discount could absolutely be in the cards, especially after his tough season. But yeah, and then we're going to talk about another heartbeat guy, Khalif Raymond.
I think Khalif's back. I just think that he's just one of those good locker room guys, great mentors, and also too. Like you said, Alex is probably out the door. We feel like Decker is out the door. You can't lose too many of those savvy veterans. He's been a great influence on the younger guys like Tesla, JMO, and I think that he's also just one of those guys that, when things go awry, you always call his number and he steps up. I mean, he stepped up today when his number was called. So maybe I could see him being a hometown discount guy too as well. So I see Khalif coming back.
When I think of guys who took most advantage of the land of opportunity here in 2021, I think of Khalif Raymond. I don't think he'll break the bank or anything. I think that's the type of guy you want on your team, even with Tesla's growth. Just the different looks he adds to the offense as a gadget speed guy and what he does in the return phase, especially with the new kickoff rules. They tried getting him there a little bit. I know he's a punt returner by trade, but it'd be nice to see him back. We're going to do a trio here. I'll just knock out Roy Lopez real quick. I think he was a great fit. I think if you lose Reader, you bring Lopez back as Tyleek Williams, Aleem McNeil insurance. But here's three for you, Kory. Levi Onwuzurike, Marcus Davenport, Josh Paschal.
Clipped. I don't know if you guys can see that.
He's clipping his scissors.
I don't see how you bring any of those three back. It's just that it's time to move on. You cannot justify bringing them back based on the injury history, the money, and the fact that these guys have not really been on the field during their time here. You just cannot justify it. And no matter how Brad would try to sell it, you got to move on from all three.
Yeah. Guys, I think that will be back. Malcolm Rodriguez, Kyle Allen. I would love to see Rock Ya-Sin come back.
Yes.
But a big question is Al-Quadin Muhammad. Double-digit sacks. If he leaves, it's another question mark in terms of true pass rushers. I know he's not great against the run, but Al-Quadin Muhammad, you think he gets paid elsewhere?
Yep. I think he's played himself into a bag, and rightfully so. And I think teams are going to just see his value as a guy opposite somebody else to just be able to do what he does best, rush the passer. Not trying to move him around and do too many cute things with him. Just give him his bag to go do specifically that. I think he's played his way out of Detroit. And again, for this, I mean, for the better for him.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think that's going to reach a point where it's a little too pricey for them and what they're looking for. And, get a youth infusion, get some speed there, change things up, get out of your stubborn ways. I think Kyle Allen will be back as backup quarterback. That pretty much is like the meat I wanted to cover on the podcast. I will rank the pending unrestricted free agents on Wednesday this week at MLive.com/Lions. We're running out of steam here. If this has been disjointed at all, if it hasn't sounded disjointed, shout out to our producer, Patrick. I have changed rooms 5 times. I have been interrupted by the door opening and closing about 19 times. So apologies there. The Lions end their season 9-8. The schedule is set. And what a schedule it is. The 4th place schedule that gives them the Titans and the Giants. They're already playing the Jets and the Saints. That gives them the Arizona Cardinals instead of one of the playoff-bound NFC West teams. That's a huge deal. We've talked about it. Look at what it did for the 49ers this year. The 4th place schedule sucks to talk about as a fan. Like, if you're a fan hearing that, like, obviously you don't want to celebrate that, but it's time to look towards the future, and that's a good thing for the future, man.
Yeah, like I said, you don't want to look at that like that, but it's an opportunity where if the front office does the things that they are supposed to do in order to rebuild the team and get the right pieces in here, it can easily be a bounce back season because you still have your core pieces intact. You just have to go out and go grab the depth and, get a couple of 1 or 2 quality starters for that offensive line, and I think that they can be right back where they need to be.
Yeah, most of their resources and time need to be spent on the offensive line this offseason. The running game wasn't as consistent or as explosive. Goff was limited in what he was able to do. You know, if you keep him upright, we know what that man can do. If you give Jahmyr Gibbs a lane to run through, you know what he can do. We didn't mention David Montgomery's name in that free agent talk because his extension hasn't even kicked in yet. But and we'll end with it. I think we even talked about him last week. I have a hard time seeing him back here next year, just for him personally, how much they're paying him and the role he kind of fell into at the end of the year. But hey, next time you'll hear us will be after Brad Holmes' year-end press conference. Again, apologies if this was disjointed today. It was a weird game. It's a weird feeling not going into the postseason. We tried to cover the stuff that matters looking forward, and I tried to find a spot where I could sit and talk for more than 5 minutes. But thanks for hanging with us all season long. I got to go back to the hotel and get some work done and then drive out of here super early because that Lions schedule tomorrow leaves no room for error on the travel, guys.
Absolutely not. I mean, man, and you know me, I'm going to be here. Right now, I'm going to be working on my grades throughout the night so I can have those out first thing in the morning. And just hey, by the time you guys hear this, it will be Black Monday, and it'll just be pretty interesting to see who is with the job and who isn't. Because I mean, there's going to be some changes in my opinion, with this Lions coaching staff as well. So curious to see what comes out of that as well.
Could be some names to watch for offensive coordinator. Could be some names to watch for the defensive staff. Obviously, Campbell still hasn't committed to anything there. I think Shep will be back. I think Morton's getting replaced. I think that's going to be the heart of the offseason. But a lot of assistants could be going too. It was unacceptable this year. You can't go from what you were to what you were this year, no matter what you can point the finger at. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks. It's going to be a busy offseason. No, I'm not available to play offensive line as much as our boss wants me to. But all right, guys, one last time, post-game podcast from Soldier Field here. Lions win 19-16, walk-off field goal from Jake Bates. I'm Ben Raven, and he's Kory Woods. Thanks, y'all.